Episode 8, guys.
Episode 8, yellow color glasses. So we've got a couple police officers from the Pleasant Hill Police Department on today, and I'll let them introduce themselves, and we're going to kind of talk about just a lot of stuff with the community, what they do, what they see, and just roll from there. So,
and I see a Minnesota Vikings tattoo, and I forgot about that, so we might have to bring that up.
I'll definitely bring it up this week.
So we'll talk
How
about
those
it.
Chiefs do.
We'll talk
You're going to
about
have
it.
to come visit.
We'll talk about it.
Macklin, my 5-year-old, is a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan for
Oh.
some reason now.
All right, so yeah, let's go.
You can go first.
I'm Officer Ryan Mayle. I've been with the department 2 years now. I live here in town, originally from Rhode Island, military police officer as well.
Okay.
I've lived in town probably 10 years. 5 kids here in town, and I'm very happy to be here. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, man. That's what made you move out here.
Military.
Okay.
I moved to Springfield.
Okay.
Met my wife down there. She's from here. She graduated from Lone Jack.
Okay.
So we moved
that's how
up
it
here.
works.
Yep.
That's awesome. How do you like it? I feel like that's a toll. I've never been to anywhere on that side of the country, so
Property's cheaper, much cheaper.
Okay.
You know, but being landlocked is pretty hard. I grew up on an actual island in Rhode Island, and itself, the state is not an island, but I did grow up on an island, so.
that's
water,
correct. I don't think I've ever
I
met
miss
anybody
the
from Rhode
ocean,
Island.
but I go there. I'm there for a week. That's enough.
Yeah,
I
you
like
got family still out there, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
3 brothers, a sister. My mom's out there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And what branch were you in?
I'm in the
Military-wise?
Army still,
You're
actually.
in the Army?
Yep, I've been in 14 years. September this month was 14 years. So
Awesome.
I got too many kids to get out. Insurance is is too cheap to get out of the military.
My stepdad was in the military he retired 7 years ago, and
Oh yeah.
he did the same thing. He was pretty active there for, I think, the first 10, and then after that, he just went to the reserves.
Yeah, I'm a reservist. My unit's in Belton. I wouldn't be where I'm at here without the military, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, man. Respect to you guys on that. So.
Thank you.
So that's cool. So you like it? Pleasant Hill's decent? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
I am Detective Nicole Wenger. I've been with Pleasant Hill for a little over almost 5.5 years. I lived in Minnesota for 33 years, born and raised, and diehard Minnesota Vikings fan. I still have season tickets and go up for all the home games.
Wow, that's awesome.
I have 3 kids, all over. One of them's in high school, so I do a lot of stuff at the school. All the kids know me because of my child, I think.
Gotcha. So are you going to go to the Chiefs and Bucks game at Minnesota this weekend? Because they're probably moving.
Is that where they're playing?
I think so.
Wait, what?
So they're moving the game to Minnesota because they're in London, and there's
Our
obviously a
stadium
hurricane.
is so cool.
Yeah, we want to go up there. I think the Chiefs are actually supposed to play up there next year. So
Why don't
Yeah.
they just make the game at home?
they want. Well, they're not going to take a home game away and give a home game to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So they're going to.
I wonder how they would do that with tickets. I haven't heard anything. I probably
It's
will
supposed to
get
come out
something.
today.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to be announced. So it's either that or New Orleans, I think. But
I wonder how that works. Like, since you have season ticket holders, does
I don't
that
know.
mean you
I'll
get to go to the
have
game?
to see. So I
You can sell those
have
bad boys.
I have the SBL. Like I own my seats, so I get first dibs on concerts, all that stuff. So yeah, if they're selling tickets, I probably will get an email for it.
okay.
Then everybody will be my best
Yeah.
friend. Nobody ever wants to go up to the
let's
other games. So, yeah, I grew up on a small dairy farm in this central Minnesota. I milked cows till I was like 30, and then decided to be a cop.
That's
So,
awesome.
There you go.
How do you like it?
I love it. I couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but coming in at 30, though, gave me so much more life experience to these cops that are 20-something and don't know nothing about life experience, and it's so copping just was really easy. I like talking to people and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
being able to relate in all the situations that you guys go through, that you're seeing all the time.
Yeah.
Having that experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I started my career at 35 in this, military is different. Military policing is way different than civilian policing. So I agree with the life experiences. It helps out a lot.
I feel like it would be, I don't know, lack of a better word, I don't want to say harder, but let's say harder to be a police officer than a military police officer.
Absolutely.
Okay, because you're dealing with...
There's active duty police officers
Okay.
who work on the base. I'm a combat MP,
Okay,
so
okay.
I deploy to my 2 deployments have been to Cuba actually, which
Okay.
is a correctional MP.
Okay.
You know, so I didn't do much correctional, but for some reason they wanted combat MPs down there. So my 2 deployments to Cuba, Guantanamo Bay, I worked in the jail down there.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Okay.
it's
Because I didn't know, like, I knew it was on base, and, you know, if you're dealing with other military,
Right.
like, I just feel like you guys are going to have that respect,
Mhm.
and sometimes I know you don't get
Yeah.
that, right?
But-
So,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
So you probably saw a lot of crazy stuff in Guantanamo Bay. I bet. Like,
A little
that
bit,
was-
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's I've seen, you know, it was 2 different deployments. You know, the first time was very, you know, basic general population guys from the battlefield. The second time I went, it was very hush hush. You have to have a top secret security clearance, everything like that. It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
For the people that I was around, I can't obviously disclose who I was around, but you can Google it and know,
sure.
you know, and it was pretty intense. So,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what you guys just mentioned, both of you coming into this career path later, you know, later in life. We were talking before we started, you know, when we were out there, and talking about being short-staffed and not being enough police officers. So, from your perspective, coming in, you know, in your 30s, what are the like? Tell people the good things about being a cop. Like why should people still want to go do that? Like, why should that be something that's still a really popular thing for kids to want to go do, and just about the career? Just tell
because
us
I
about
honestly
that.
I grew up always to want to be a cop. I actually roomed with my buddy Jake Marshall. He was a deputy. He still is a deputy. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but we always talked about it, and that was just something that I always wanted to do.
So
Didn't do it,
we've been pretty open with our like ride along policy, and that's like something like anyone that's like legit or wants to know, or even the people that are not pro law enforcement, we welcome
yeah.
them to come on a ride
That's a
along
good-
and
yeah.
and see what we do. But so it's obviously different being a cop like in Kansas City or Independence, but here it is. I mean, the camaraderie you have, like this job is like no other. Like all 10 people that still work there, 10.
That's crazy.
We are so close. We would do anything for each other, and
That's
like
awesome.
your job is never ever the same. I mean, I just got the life-saving award at the last city council meeting for doing CPR on a 17-year-old, and he lived. And the next day, I'm digging through a hoarder house trying to find someone in a fire. Like, we get to do everything, not just, like, there's a lot of drugs in this town only because they go through. We're a through city because you can get off 49 Highway or 71 and come right through Pleasant Hill and cut down to Garden City, any of those places. So we still get to, like, hunt, as we say. We can still look for dope. We can still, but there's just, I don't know, it's just fun because every
Yeah.
day is different.
100%.
On a plus side of that, though, people know, like, man, I knew I shouldn't have went through Pleasant Hill, like, because we're very good at what we do. I'm, like I said, I'm a 2-year officer, but the people who have trained me we have the eye, and we know you're here long enough. You know every single car in this town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you see
Or
something,
who doesn't belong.
right? Or
You
who
can
doesn't
just-
belong?
Yeah.
So the people will stop them, and they told me not to go through Pleasant Hill. So it's good. We're being a small community, being so close. You can look at my call log. You can probably look at her call log, and every phone call is another officer in this town.
Yeah.
I call my mom and
Yeah.
the other cops.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So it's
What do you? Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, I feel like Pleasant Hill's probably always been. I mean, I feel like you guys have always had a pretty good staff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong or?
No, it's just funny. It's so funny because, like, being a student.
Yeah, I mean, like,
No, so where
'cause
I'm
we both
coming,
grew up here.
where I'm coming from here is like whenever I was a student and I had my teachers, and then whenever I became a teacher, all of a sudden now I know all my teachers. I know them in a completely different way. I know them as a professional, as an adult. And you realize like how you view everything whenever you're a young kid,
Right.
Or ignorant to something. You have a total different perspective, and it's the same way with police officers. I remember a couple times when I was like 17 doing stupid stuff and then getting talked to in the Price Chopper parking lot, and I thought was like, God, why are they picking on me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just doing your freaking
But
job.
then you
And
look
you're-
back now, and it's like, my goodness, man. Like my strategy, my thing was, boys will be boys.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, well, this isn't bad. Like
Right.
we were ornery, but we never did anything terrible, right?
So
But, yeah,
to that
so-
note, there's a lot of kids, like my son included, who have already put his truck in the ditch five days after he turned 16. What I try to stress to them though is, we all were kids and we all did dumb stuff, but it has gotten so bad. I think there's been like 6 wrecks with kids from Pleasant Hill High School in the last month. Like rollovers, not good, crashed their trucks big time. And I went into the school the other day, I'm like, if I ever have to show up and I'm the one that has to scrape your body off a highway, I'm going to be upset. Like,
Yep.
there is spinning your tires a little bit coming out of school to look cool, and then there's driving 100. Like, it's
Correct.
and that is my biggest push. Like, all the kids know that I'm pretty lenient. I get that you're a kid and you're showing off for your friends, but the speeding has become ridiculous with the younger. I don't know why. Like, we all did dumb stuff, but we didn't drive 100 on gravel roads.
I was the same way. Like my first day driving, 16 years old. It was after a football game. Left Sonic, did a burnout, got pulled over. They gave me a CNI. First day driving, and my mom was, she was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, she
That's
was
like all
mad.
12 points right there.
Oh man, I literally. So that was it. That set my tone. I was on a short leash, and that's. I got a couple other tickets later now.
Yeah.
But I never. I won't say I never, but majority of the time it was just jackassing around and not going stupid fast.
Yeah.
But just being an idiot still.
Yeah, and
So-
then these, every day my son's like, oh, so-and-so wrecked their truck now. And I'm like, and you're still driving like this, So, yeah.
A lot of the students though, they're, for the most part, you stop them, you chastise them a little bit. Hey, stop. We don't want to mess with kids, license. I gave the old, it would suck if you lose your license before you go to college,
Correct.
Stop doing what you're doing.
Or how are your parents feel because you're the chaperone for all the younger brothers and sisters, and you put a huge, and then they're like, oh, I
Inconvenience
never
on there.
think
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Insurance going up,
Yeah.
things like, because that's a big deal as well. I mean, especially with rates. I mean, insurance is a delayed thing when it comes to everything going up. So when you see building costs and vehicles and things like that go up, over the past 2 or 3 years, well, now insurance starts catching up.
So even with a speeding ticket, kids' insurances.
Oh goodness,
Oh, yeah.
it'll double. I mean,
and it's already like when I just had to get it for my 16-year-old, I'm like, ugh.
yeah, so it's probably an extra $100 of, just for that person to be on that vehicle, not even including the
Right.
cost of the vehicle coverage,
Right.
right? So they get a ticket or an accident, they lose the good driving discount. I mean, that's 30% minimum typically, and then the actual extra cost that it does on their insurance. You're
Right.
looking at a $50-$60 increase a month
Yeah.
for one ticket.
Right.
Yeah, and insurance companies. I mean, they know they have to be insured. So, yeah, moms and dads aren't happy whenever they call and they have to. They already know just adding a normal situation. I know it's going to make it go up, but yeah, you get a bunch of those things happening, and not good.
I'm
But
gonna
it's
need
not
a
something to
second
think
job.
about. Do what?
I'm gonna need a second job because I got 5 and
I
they're
was gonna
all
say,
within
man,
5 years.
Gosh.
I'm gonna have to get a second job just for insurance.
Call us to
and
give it.
vehicles.
We'll get you a quote.
I'm like, I have panic attacks already. I lay in bed and I'm like, God, college, cars, insurance, like all at once. I'm gonna,
Dude, the insurance. And I hate paying insurance.
And
I
boys
sell
are more than
insurance, but I
girls
hate
for
it.
some reason. Why?
Wonder
They used to-
why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it's not
why.
girls out there peeling wheels.
No, it's not. You
Yeah.
never see. Yeah.
I thought it was cool. It was a good burnout too.
Yeah.
I said, man, it's my first day driving. They said, well, it's a no better time to get a ticket then. I said, I came home. I said, Mom, look at this, and she's like, what the?
So what? I know you guys both say that that you enjoy being in the community, all that stuff. What are the things that make this community great? Like what makes this a great place to
To live and
to
then,
live, to work, to
And
be
then
a
what
cop
are
here?
some concern? Like what are
So-
maybe two big things that you guys see? Because I know drugs right now. You said drugs was a big thing in Pleasant Hill. I had no idea. I mean, I
didn't know this was a
I didn't know
threat.
that was a big deal in this town. I thought it was actually pretty drug-free friendly.
So,
So let's
I
talk
think
about that a little bit.
She is working. She's not being rude.
No,
that's,
you
She
do your
is.
thing.
She's.
It's okay.
I'm lucky to have the day off. So.
Yeah, no, you guys are fine. Do your thing.
So I think that, well, for us, this town is super pro-police. Like, we don't get very many, although I did have one this morning that didn't want to, he did the whole, I don't have to identify myself. So
Oh,
it is around, but for the most part, not. But the community-wise, like, this is one of those little hole-in-the-wall bedroom communities that everyone, like, you know, when the girls died, everybody had fundraisers for them. Nobody even knew them. They were both adopted, that homeschooled, so they didn't even go to the school. And everybody pitched together to do fundraisers for them. And the sports in this city are really good. Like, the schools are good. The bullying is all over, but there's not drugs in the schools here. Like,
Good.
that is something we never worry about, really. A couple kids obviously going to have the
sure.
vape pens, but other than that, there's not hard drugs in the schools. Housing, I would say, used to be pretty affordable, but you know.
Yeah, now it's like
Yeah. Some negatives in this town, I don't know. I think small businesses, I don't know why they can't stay afloat. I don't.
well, everybody leaves Pleasant Hill to do their shopping and,
Yeah.
and their business.
So
right?
that'd be the only maybe negative, is there's not a lot here, and I don't think there will be a lot here because it'll never make it. Just
Not
'cause-
unless they widen 7 Highway.
Yes,
If
and
they
'cause-
widen 7 Highway to 2 lanes, then they'll bring in some bigger franchises, and then people will be able to, do more business in town. But
But then
Yeah.
we lose that
Lee
small
Summit
town
is
feel.
but then you
So-
lose that too. Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Summit's so close that I think a lot of people. The drugs part, if you're not in that circle, you don't know about it. Like, I bet, obviously, that's where like most of our drugs are, and then there's a couple other houses, but they keep to themselves. Like, if you don't do drugs, you probably don't know drugs are here.
Yeah, I had no idea.
But I mean, we get, well, Chris just got what, like 17 grams of meth? I mean, we get meth, heroin, fentanyl once a week, easy. And if we had more time or more officers right now to actually, like, we're so short now that we just respond to calls. Like, there's only one day car, so it's me for 10,000 people right now, that's it.
That's crazy.
And
That's crazy.
so I can't really hunt. Because if I stop you for, now I have all this dope and everything, but then if somebody calls that for a disturbance, now what do I do? So,
Yeah. So I know like the fentanyl is a big deal right now, right? I mean, I feel like I see
Huge.
that everywhere. So what is that coming from? Like, is it just fentanyl pills? Because I see it all over social media with like kids, like they're making.
Oh yeah, we have. So I just got the new. I'm part of the Cass County Drug Task Force too. We actually are meeting today. The DEA last month told us that 2 and 5 pills now are hot. So hot means it will, if there's enough fentanyl to like kill you, because there's no way they just like spray it on the M30 pills. That's kind of what's going around. So they look like hydrocodone. They have the same markings, but they're blue and they're all laced with fentanyl. So you could have taken 4 of them and gotten high, great, no problems, and then
Take
your
one.
5th one, done. And we did have a death in this city because of that this year. There's been 7 in Cass County, I think, this year, ODing on fentanyl. But now they're making this designer fentanyl, which looks like kinetic sand. It's purple, it's mixed with heroin. And honestly, having children, if I wouldn't have been part of this drug task force and seen pictures of it, if somebody legit put that stuff in like a kinetic sand thing, I don't know that I ever would have questioned it, because it looks, but they're making it designer to target it to kids.
So is it one of those things that if you like touch it, it can?
Some of them.
Because I saw a story like on a.
About a dollar bill.
Well, it was an SRO at a school, found it on a kid, and he ended up having to go to the hospital for an overdose. He didn't take it.
Right.
He had just taken it off of the kid, and
That's why we've all switched to latex gloves now, because we used to search cars with like mechanics gloves so you didn't get poked by a shark.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But if the fentanyl gets on your mechanics gloves and then let's say you go put it on later and you only put one on and you touch, so we wear all disposable gloves now. So now we risk getting poked by a needle, but if you look, look before
sure.
you reach.
And it's almost it's more of not, I wouldn't say immunity, but the people who are out there using these drugs like that, like they are addicted to heroin and things of that sort. So their body builds something to where we don't touch this ever. So that's where it comes in, that if we touch it, our body reacts because we're never around it.
Okay.
So we all did just start carrying Narcan within the last year.
Yeah.
Mainly for each other, for ourselves, not necessarily for people on the street.
So elaborate what you were talking about on the kinetic stand, though. You said they're targeting kids. Like, are you saying like people are going to start giving this to
They are,
to
yeah,
little
they already
kids
have
and-
like the pills. Where did I just see? So speed used to be a big thing, but now they're making these fentanyl pills look like Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah, I've seen like Skittles, Starburst, and I'm assuming like.
And when I say kids, I mean like 17, 18, trying to get them
That's
into it.
That's what I was going to, like, because you're talking about party drug.
Right, Molly. So that's what I try to tell like my son and all of his friends, like, you guys may have heard your mother or aunt or somebody being like, hey, we did Molly once. Okay, well now that is killing kids. It's killing teenagers because that one pill they got could have had way more fentanyl than they thought, and then they OD like now.
Because you see that everywhere. I mean, which is good. I mean, because I didn't even know what fentanyl.
I didn't know what it was.
What do you? I mean, do people use fentanyl as a drug?
It's just
by
a pain.
itself,
For pain. Like most of, if you like. When I just recently had a gallstone, I got fentanyl in the back of an ambulance for the pain. I mean, it's a drug all ambulance. It's like probably one of the first drugs you would get if you had a severe accident and in the back of an ambulance for like to relieve your pain right now. Like you cut your finger off or something bad, you'd get that.
So is it like like back in probably at least our day, OxyContin? That was a big dilemma, right? That was a big deal. Is it similar to that?
But it's liquid, and so they can do way more stuff with it. Right. They can spray it on pills. They can.
Right, it's transferred different ways now. You can coat things. You can.
And also the other big thing right now is the embalming fluid, and that's. People are buying cigarettes. Like I just had a homeless guy get a cigarette that was dipped in embalming fluid because that's what they're using.
Getting wet or something?
Yeah, they call it wet. So instead of using PCP, it's crazy.
Wow, smoke that.
Because PCP is hard to make, embalming fluid. So there's mortuaries are getting robbed now for their embalming fluid, and then they just dip their cigarettes, and then it gets them the PCP high. And so, but then people are selling them and forgetting they dipped them because they're high, and then people that have never done it are and the difference, PCP, when it was like made, like meth used to be made with chemicals, it didn't have like long-term effects. But people that now have been using the embalming fluid, they've been having episodes later, like years later, they go into like a schizophrenic because, I mean, it's formaldehyde.
Yeah.
And that is not good for your body.
So just the old "don't do drugs" still applies.
Still applies.
Gosh, doesn't matter how old you are. Don't do drugs.
It's so scary though, like because I never was into drugs in high school. It wasn't around me. The friends that I had, it wasn't around them.
Yep.
But I knew people who smoked weed.
Yeah, and that was
that
the
kind
thing. You smoke weed a couple of times in high school, and mom catches you, and that was it. So.
But now they don't know what the hell. Now they don't even know what the hell they're getting.
Yeah, like the drug, the
THC. So like the wax they're making, you dump gasoline on weed, and then when that extracts, it turns into this like hard wax, and then they're smoking that. And so
they're smoking gasoline.
I mean, pretty much.
And
that's wax.
Yeah. And it's just but that's
the potency is so much higher.
It's pure
a concentrate,
THC.
Compared to the marijuana itself.
But is it still giving you the? I mean, are people using it to smoke just weed, or is it people that are wanting harder stuff?
A harder high, but they don't want to go into other drugs. So.
Oh, wow.
Now she is the drug task force,
man,
so it's not like we have zombies walking down 7 highways getting wet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
but we have had it.
But we have had it, yes. And, so like,
our pharmacy's been broken into 3 times now.
This one?
Mm-hmm. For the purple drink. Mm-hmm. Which is the cough syrup.
I mean, is it locals that are doing
No.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
none of this one.
None of the ones here. I think Pleasant. They try to do it at Price Chopper as well. Fake scripts.
Yep.
Trying to get but they're out of town.
Yeah, none of them are from here.
Okay. Because I asked that because I don't know if you guys have seen the show on Hulu called Dope. It's about the OxyContin, crisis back in whatever year that was, and it was about a small town where this doctor, he had a little urgent care center or whatever it was, and they were really pushing OxyContin right at that time, like these pharmaceutical companies and everything.
Everyone was.
Yeah, and these doctors started pushing it. He's like, okay, yeah, it felt good, and then he had something happen. He ended up getting addicted, and next thing you know, he was driving to different areas of different states, different pharmacists, and just to get his scripts filled. And then he was taking them back and then selling them, and it was just it's a good show. It's a very intense show. I mean, honestly, it's very scary, really. Like, it's kind of sad too, because the guy was a good dude. I mean, he just went down the wrong hole. But I just think, and I just feel like that's what this whole fentanyl thing is like. It just reminds me of that.
I'm actually completely blown away right now. Like, I had no.
Really?
I just want, like, you just don't think, I don't think about that. Like, I don't even really, I don't know, it makes me scared for the kids that, like, when we're talking about boys will be boys and all that stuff, it just makes me scared that kids that are just, just trying stuff just because they're teenagers and they're being silly and stupid.
So innocent.
Heroin is the same, the blue heroin I found. Like, I find stuff now, I don't even know what it is. I just test everything. Like, I found blue powdery substance in a contact lens case, and it's not normal. I'm gonna take it, and then I tested it, and it was heroin, and I'm like, really? Remember that with that crack? Yeah. So it's.
Okay.
So where do we go from here?
Well, no, that was.
that was so informative.
Yeah, those were her, like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like.
Yeah.
So.
What about you?
I harp big on community.
Okay.
I love the fact that we're involved in the schools. She has high schoolers. I have middle schoolers in primary school. So, what's great about being officers here in the town is, the other day I knew when the kids got out for recess, and I did kickball with the kids.
Awesome.
And you can't do that if you don't live in that town.
Yeah.
As an officer. So us being able to go to sports events in uniform, and it comes down to the department as well. We talk to our higher ups, and family is huge. In this town, in the department, in the fire department, things like that. So being able to go to a sports event and not worry, and I turn my radio up and I listen for calls. And again, because we are so short-staffed, we can't do much out there on our own anyways. So we respond, and the community gets upset, like, hey, why aren't the police out here doing this? For that exact reason. If we pull over a guy and he's got 5 pounds of meth in his bag, we're caught up for a while. We got to call in another person, or a disturbance comes out, because we are short staffed.
Yeah.
We have to call in somebody on their day off, which is very far and few between. And I talked to you earlier about it. If I get sick, I have to worry about calling in another guy. On their day off, that I know I would not want to be that guy, because I don't have many. Nicole, I've talked to her many times. She's like, I got 3 years of sick leave.
I do. I've never used it.
Because we can't. And it's not the department's fault. It's the fact that people don't. You get all of this social media stuff, and you get all this media stuff that police are bad and this and that, and people are so biased. It's either you're pro or you're against. There's no doing your research on anything. And that's what we're trying to do with, like, the ride-alongs. We're trying to now go to while people are in the academy, to try to talk to them. Hey, this is a small community. Here's the benefits of that. So that's really big.
But it's hard to get those newbies, those fresh, because you're going to be put to the road so quick.
Yeah, and just jumped into the ropes.
Thrown
and
it's
in the
so
fire. Hard. I just get so frustrated when I see those videos of, I don't have to identify. Like, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Let's talk to like we're a human. Like, if you put some respect out there, most of the time you guys have to have an authority thing.
That guy would not have gotten arrested this morning had he just told me his name.
Respect goes a long ways, and you gotta give respect to gain respect, right? So this authority is pulling you over so give that person respect. And I just feel like people make things way more complicated
Yeah.
by
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that, and
it's
it's
media.
so annoying.
You know, media pulls it out, and you know, you see, it's media that blows this whole thing up,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's hard,
ridiculous.
and that's, you know, sad to say, that's the world we live in. Everybody's on their phone. Everybody's doing, you know, whatever it is. So
They're just doing it for a reaction. It's not even that's. There's some people that just do it just to post about it,
Right.
and it's like they're out there fishing for it, and it's just like, man, you guys are doing your best you can, and I agree. I do think there are some people out there that abuse the power or abuse the authority.
100%.
And
But there's bad employees everywhere.
There's bad insurance agents. There's
Yeah.
bad everybody out there. So you can't blanket. You can't put a blanket thing on just police officers, and that's
Yeah.
what they do. And I that's
And
a
I think
toy.
a
I'm
lot
not
of-
going to go down that, but that
No.
gosh, that frustrates me.
I think a lot of it is we treat everyone with respect until you know it goes to a
Until
place
mistreated.
where but like my last 2-week check I had 124 hours, you know, and so like we're stressed, we're worn out, and I don't think people see that part of it. Like
No, you
they have
don't,
no
because when we
idea.
look at you guys, we're like, oh.
yeah.
I mean, you guys
And
got
they
it
want
together.
more.
You guys
Yeah.
you guys need to have take control of a situation. Like, you
like
know,
was it last Friday? I worked like an 18-hour shift or something
Yeah.
crazy.
Right. I got off at 6 this morning, and you know, this
still
is
awake,
this
yeah.
is not this is not
Normal,
work.
but
Yeah, but you know, we
it can happen.
But
You
it
get called
happens.
out.
Yeah, you know, we either get called out or we work late. You know, you get a major motor vehicle accident. You have to stay on. You know, short staffed. You know, so these are things that we do.
you got to be clear in the mind too, because it's not like you're sitting behind a computer writing an insurance policy. I mean, you guys are walking up to a car that you don't know what's going to
You
happen.
can put that insurance down at the end of the day and be like, hey, I'll finish this in the morning.
Correct.
If there's a serious problem, we're not putting that down until it's
I
finished.
think the other biggest thing too is people don't realize like the one day in particular sticks out. I had a 4-year-old sexual assault, right? So I just left hearing this mother and this 4-year-old tell me what happened to her. So my mind was, you know, I mean, I'm not going to lie that I don't cry from some of these because they're terrible. And then I had to go to some dumb fight about something stupid. And this lady was, you know, it was everything to her. And so you have to try to put yourself in the mindset like
Man,
this is the worst day of their life, even though it's a fight over like who's getting the lawnmower because they're getting divorced. But to them it was everything. But what I just left, like that's probably the hardest thing, is I had to put that back here and restart over, reset, and now I'm on this new call where every day is the worst day of whose ever life we're going to, but that's hard to do.
Well, and I think we
That is
the-
tough.
with all of the, you know, we're talking about the media and we're talking about the, I don't know, just how people view police officers. The thing that I always try, like it's made me, honestly, all those negative things have made me better. I think I've gotten stopped twice in the last like 3 years, and it's made me want to make sure that I am better with when normally maybe I would have been frustrated, or maybe I would have been, you know, I was in a hurry and I'm like, you know, being a jerk. It's made me better to, you know, make sure that I'm really respectful of police
Same
officers
way.
and telling them, hey, no, I have they walk up to the door, there's a gun in my console right here, and you tell them that, no issue, literally just okay, and it's been really, really good experiences like with police officers, and we take it for granted because every single time you guys run a call, even though it's Pleasant Hill, we're talking about this community being amazing, no matter what, you're walking into a situation where
It's
you
an
ultimately
unknown.
don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
There are
And-
variables everywhere.
And like just Clinton, like a couple of years back, I think it was either one. I know for sure it was one, but I thought it was
There's
two. Routine, what you would think would be routine traffic stops,
It was routine.
and like Clinton, I'm sure it's a little different than Pleasant Hill, but same kind of small town kind of, you know, feel. And you're walking into a traffic stop and somebody, you know, does the unexpected. But you guys are always having to be on your toes and understand that anything can happen, and that's very difficult.
You guys are also, you know, superhuman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but you guys are humans. Like,
Right.
Like you guys are literally just like us.
Right.
And but your expectation from everybody else is way higher. You're supposed to be the best at this, best at that. And it's like, man.
Right. We have problems ourselves, but we have to problem solve.
Yeah.
Every day we're
That's hard,
solving
man.
people's problems.
Yep.
It's not like
And and like you said, like it's their worst. They
They think
I mean,
it's their
it
worst
could
day.
be petty, right?
Right.
I mean, it could be the pettiest thing ever, but it is just life-changing for them, and then you have to take that on, but you might have just left a call where that is, I mean, a sexual assault, that is life-changing. I mean, that
is one thing I think for all cops, if they thought, like, you have to think that way, like, because somebody that's never fought any, like some sweet, nice lady that's never fought anything or fought anyone or gotten in a fight,
backbone,
and all of a sudden somebody robbed her. To her, that is nothing like that's ever happened to me. That's oh my gosh, somebody robbed me. And to us, it's like they stole your phone charger, But to her, it's everything. And so if you can, as a cop, put that mindset that you're only people don't call the cops unless it's a bad day for them.
Yep.
That's true.
No, and I want to go back to the community piece too, because like I know, like you came in for the bike rodeo and dropped some stuff off, and then a couple weeks later, you were cruising through the neighborhood, and my 5 and 3-year-old are out in the driveway.
Yeah.
And he pulls over and lets them get in, and not get in, but let them touch the lights and do the sirens, and like they think that that's the most amazing thing in the world. And so just little. Like stuff like that, Macklin talks about that every now and then.
Oh yeah, and I think that's like what you guys are saying, and maybe this is what cops have always, in this maybe in this community they've always done this, but you just was too young. I was too young to not know, but you guys are being involved in the schools and stuff. That sounds like so. Sometimes, especially with social media, you say, "Oh, cops are the enemies," right? No, like cops are a resource for you. Like you call them if you need help. Like. Listen to them. Like I feel like it's a culture change, and it starts in the schools, right?
And it is for police as well. Like nothing against the older police officers in this that have been here for 25 years or so, but things were different back then, and you have to adapt with the times, and that's why I think we're adapting with that, and we're so community driven. We do.
Like they hated my TikToks, but I have like 35,000 followers on TikTok now, and I do it all in cop stuff. And but it's to show that I'm a I'm just a mom with 3 kids.
And we hang out with the older guys.
For sure.
They're not going to get out there and play kickball. They're not, and they're great officers, but they're not going to do things like that. But they also see what we bring to it, and we've both been told multiple times, hey, and even the other younger officers here, we have a younger group that is really, we're trying to bring that back, and I think that's what happened. That's where we've lost that connection. Is it was so hard then, and we have to adapt as well as the community.
Because even the kids now are like, they'll tell their parents, and I've stopped parents be like, oh, my son loves you, or and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're normal.
But that's not what it was like, because
I definitely see the difference.
100%. Because I grew up, it was pretty, like I was a little troublemaker every once in a while. I had my times, but I had a very strict mom. My mom would. She said, I'm taking your dad's. I'm like, please.
But that's gone too.
But that's gone too. But the police officers, like, so when I came across a police, I'm like, yes, sir. But I was intimidated and I was scared. And that's, I'm not saying that's bad, right? Because I also always respected them too. But at the same time, like, you can't do that nowadays because now people are, they get offended or whatever it might be. So you guys taking the way you're going about it, we're like, hey, we're here to build a relationship with you guys, make you feel comfortable, but also know that we are the authority. And but
we're not demanding respect. We're earning the respect.
We're earning respect, and that's the difference. And you can't do that nowadays. Even though if someone demands respect from me, I'm going to respect them. But that's not how everybody is now.
No.
So you guys are doing it the right way, and I feel like that's the way that we can maybe break that cycle of getting this bad look on police officers. And just
one thing I have to say, when the parents are like, to their little kids, like elementary school, they're like, oh, you better be good or they're going to arrest you. We hate when parents say that. Don't do that.
Don't call us to say, hey, can you come talk to them because they're
we want them to get scared.
That's not what we're here.
No.
We don't want that. Like I give more high fives when I walk through a school, and it's time in the beginning people shied, but they start to see our faces and they recognize us. I have kids that I'll pull up to a gas station and I'll roll my window down to talk to a group of kids in a car and they're like, "That's a cool one," you know what I mean? You guys don't give them crap. Like it.
Correct.
It
Oh
happens.
yeah,
very
people
much
know
more.
not to lie to me in this town.
Yeah,
you
they-
lie to me, you go to jail. You
Right.
tell me the truth, I might let you stomp out some mess because you told me you had it. So
You know, and here's the thing too. You guys are changing it from going like he's saying with intimidation.
Sorry, I just got that.
I at first I was like, wait, what?
Did she just say what I think? And
I did.
Maybe
But
weed.
You're going from the cop being intimidated by a cop to now all of a sudden you got kids that are like, I don't want to let them down.
Correct. And
Like, it's not that I don't want to get in trouble by them. You know what? They actually care about me. I don't
Right.
want to let them down.
Yep.
I don't want her to see that I've done something. Really
That is how I
stupid.
feel like we've gotten through to the kids in the high school.
Yeah.
They legit feel bad. When I pulled them over, they're like, oh, sorry.
Like a
Yeah.
teacher.
I have a few houses that I go to still. Like I've been on the call, and it's the teenagers unruly, or their conflict. They have a bunch of conflict with the family. I still go to those houses every few
Couple months.
2
Check
months
on
or
'em.
something. And they're like, I had a mom. I called and she was like, oh, so and so. She had a daughter, and I called just to check on her, and she's like, she's right here standing next to me. She heard your voice, and huge smile. And I see these people every day. We shop with them. We get gas, we rub shoulders, we go to the restaurants, and they're here.
Because we all live here. We
Yep.
all the officers now, right? All of
Yeah.
us live in Pleasant Hill.
Okay.
So
And that's hard for you guys.
it can
That's
be.
a lot on your guys' shoulders. You know what I mean? To,
Oh, yeah,
to
because-
put that on every day. And
Go to football practice and you wrote the wrong person a ticket, and now he's your kid's football coach.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
but that's where I don't know, man. I
I want to
have
enjoy
take-
myself sometimes too.
Exactly.
It's
like
hard.
you guys are humans. Like I remember I got pulled over just it's been about a year ago. And I was cruising, and I wanted to touch base on like what Dusty said, like with having more respect with the media and stuff. And his cop pulled me over, and I was going down to Brickers to pick up my truck or pick up my wife's car or something. And I was cruising down that side road, and I was doing like 33, 35 or something. He got me, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pull into Brickers, and they know Bricker, everything will be fine. I was very optimistic.
we know that already. We know what you're doing.
Oh, I know.
Like we already.
I know, but I was very. This will be good. I'm gonna pull in there. I'm gonna just get my car. Oh, I was speeding, which I knew I was, but I didn't know like exactly. Like I whatever. Felt very optimistic that I was gonna get a warning. He came back. He's like, man, I hate to do this, but I got to give you a ticket. X, Y, and Z. Like everybody's cruising fast on these back roads, and normally I would have been a little pissed. I don't know, but I just was like, all right, that's me. I shouldn't have been
got
speeding.
caught.
This guy's doing his job. He tried, because he was very polite. He was a younger guy. He was probably maybe even younger than me. And
You're old, so that's not saying much.
Everyone thinks home is like home plate. Like we're safe. I made it in my driveway.
Yeah. But anyway, so that I wanted to hit on that.
So
because
those
that's,
things, though, so we have these grants, and people I think don't understand that. When we're doing traffic on like Pine Street and stuff, it's because we've gotten so many complaints from the
yeah.
residents on that street.
Yep.
And so you might have just been an example that day.
And
Like,
that's all it was.
we actually
Yeah.
we're writing them tickets, but we can't. Again, there's one of me in this whole city. I can't patrol Pine Street all day.
I can't stress that enough. Where we're told do not say anything on social media. So
Yeah.
I've learned to bite my tongue. But I cannot stress that enough if it goes out to the community to understand that there's one officer on most of the time, maybe two.
The most we ever have is
Yep,
two.
is two right now. So we cannot be everywhere. And when you don't see us and you put comments like, "Oh, we'll put a donut shop on Boardman," and I'm sure things like that. We can't be everywhere all the time. There's a speed trailer that goes around. You probably see it all over town now. We're trying. The waiting list to get that speed trailer in your neighborhood is outrageous because everybody thinks,
Everyone wants it.
like,
But it
hey,
gives us good data.
Yep, it gives good data, and honestly, 25 looks really fast when it's 25. I'll be completely honest. If you're just standing there, I got a guy here in
They're
Sugarland.
going
He's like
60.
They're 50 all day. I'm like, I've been here for every day for a month after 6 o'clock, and the fastest I've gotten is like 29. Like you think it's 60, but it's so it's hard to
Yeah.
But everybody complains about this stuff, but they're also the problem to it.
Yeah.
People don't want to go. Like it's a scary, intimidating thing to go be a police officer in this market or in this time. So
It is.
It's like the only way to change is if you guys doing what you're doing, and then we
Right.
can take ownership for
Right.
mess ups.
Right.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Like,
Yeah, I know,
this
this
is
has been
probably our
good.
longest podcast, I think.
No, we haven't
Yeah.
been talking that long.
We're almost to an hour,
Really?
Yeah, we do.
and I feel like we could just keep talking.
yeah, no, this
Like,
was
all day
good.
long.
Like this was fun.
One more thing I do want to
Yeah.
touch on though. The parents that are allowing their kids to just be out, like 12 and 13-year-olds at 1, 2 in the morning. This is a safe city, I'm not saying that. But with Snapchat and stuff, we've had legit some guy from wherever, Independence, posed as a 16-year-old and sexually assaulted a girl in this town. You know, so there, it's not just, it does happen. And parents just need to, like, maybe just be a little more aware not to let their younger kids out at night.
Have something called a
Yeah,
curfew.
right. And because we don't have one legally in Pleasant Hill.
Didn't we used to?
We've never actually had it. We tell you there is.
My
but
gosh.
if you question,
My
and you know, to
gosh.
try to get you to go home. But I don't want people to get scared that this isn't it is a safe town, but nothing's safe at 2 in the morning.
Nothing.
Yeah.
There's no
I
reason.
could have swore there was I literally would go the back road.
So you
coming
can't drive
home.
after 1 on an intermediate license. Like, that's a
Is that
thing.
intermediate like 16?
16.
Okay, so that's
17.
what it was. There'd be times like 12:55. Oh
Yeah.
man, we're getting close because I live on the south end of town. I'm like, I'm gonna go the back way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was never able to be out at 2 a.m.
well, I wasn't either.
Remember
It
when
was
we broke
it was the
curfew?
tricks. You know, it was I'm staying in Dustin's house.
right.
I'm staying in here.
But-
you know, you pull the tricks and
But 2 a.m. at like 12-year-olds the other night, and
12-year-olds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I called mom and dad to come get them, and they were super mad at me for waking them up at 2 in the morning.
What?
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quick story. One time, I had a old friend. Her dad thought that I had egged their house, and I hadn't. And I was out camping in the middle of a field or not by myself, but with a couple other buddies. And this guy came and knocked on my mom's door, my house, and it was I think it was this guy.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
You're talking about a totally different situation.
Okay.
I did egg a house, but
Okay.
it wasn't this situation.
Okay.
Nobody
either
does
way.
that anymore.
That's good, probably. But either way, so this guy knocked on my mom's, front door, and your son just did this. And she thought I had, right? Because I was out gone, I was
Right.
camping. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We're sitting around a bonfire, literally not doing anything wrong. I had just gotten my ears pierced that same day, but in the field, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's 3 dudes sitting around a fire. A truck is coming over the hilltop, and it's going fast. And we're like, what is going on? And my mom busts out, and she's like, Jake, get your ass in here. And you got earrings? Oh, we're going to your
I wish
dad's.
parents were still like that when you had a healthy fear of your
Yeah.
parents.
And it was just funny because I'm like, I did not. Like, we've been here all night.
Right.
So,
So,
good stuff.
anyways.
Oh, man. Well, thank you guys
Okay.
so much
Yeah,
for what
thanks,
you
guys.
do. Thanks for coming
It's
on.
been good.
It
So.
was super informative. I mean, I learned a lot. It's some crazy stuff. But
Yeah.
If you ever have questions, you can call us.
yeah, just thank you.
Well,
Thank
and
you
getting to
for
know
coming
you
on.
guys too. I mean, I've seen, we've talked a couple times. I've seen you, but never really got to talk. So,
Right.
I mean, it's I think you guys are doing awesome stuff, man.
Heck yeah.
Heck of a lot of respect for you guys.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's a wrap.
Cut.
All right.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.